Okay, it is now 6 o'clock this evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today is June 16th. It is now 6 o'clock, so I'll have everyone rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, and then I will throw the ball right over to Chris for announcements from the health department.
We don't really have any. Compost site is open. Remind people that we have backyard composting bins available. South Shore Recycling Co-op has been selling for $75. You can get them for $35 for us. So please buy my compost bins. That's really all I have. It's summertime, not a lot of exciting stuff.
Okay, then we'll move on to our discussion and action items. Number 1 for this evening is discussion regarding reviewed body art regulations. We had decided to go home and all do our homework and review them. Did you guys have a chance?
I reviewed them as much as I'm gonna.
Yeah. It was a lot, man. It was a lot. I went through with a fine-tooth comb. Do we want to just kind of ping and I went through with a red marker and marked what I had issues.
I did too. I thoroughly
Yeah.
went through it, and
Okay.
I also researched a lot of the abutting communities.
Okay.
It's generalized.
Yeah.
It's a fair shake for both sides.
Okay.
And I don't know where it stands. I believe it gets sent out, Chris, to town council to have it looked at.
Yeah, and he made some suggestions. Put it that way.
Oh, were you not here
So
last
the
week?
suggestions in this current draft that we have already?
Wait, did you get the one with all the red lines in it?
Yeah, do you have this one?
No, okay, so that's why. Let me
Okay.
see, I must have those here.
Yep.
All right, hang on, tell you 1 second. I did my own here. Just I wanted to make sure that we weren't
Yeah.
overstepping.
Let me know when you're ready, and I'll kind of start.
Now,
Okay.
all right.
So I had nothing on page 1.
see.
It's the contents.
thank you.
So we can leave that as is. All in agreement. Page 2, the only thing that they touched was the authorized agent definition. I wanted to check in with Chris. It just says any agent of the Abington Board of Health duly appointed in accordance with Massachusetts general laws. If you feel comfortable with that, Chris, then so do I.
Yep. I mean, by
Perfect.
MGL, that's me. So.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. The next thing was the Board of Health, or board means the duly constituted Abington Boards of Health. It looks like he put no underline, but you want the Board of Health to be underlined. This is like a grammatical fix, so they ununderlined the whole thing when only Board of Health or board needed to be underlined, I think. So that was just grammatical. The next bit was the body art definition. I thought that was fine. It looked fine to me. Body art establishment or establishment, that's another grammatical error. You don't need it to say establishment twice. All in agreement?
Yes.
Body piercing,
Actually, just to double back on that, I think the reason it has or establishment is because sometimes in the regulations, they just refer to establishment, so that's supposed to mean body art establishment, which would
So you want 'em
seem
both?
self-evident, but it's
I
legally
thought it was
used.
dumb, yeah. Like if
Yeah.
it's a body
better
art
to be defined,
establishment,
else there's
I
no
don't want it to
questions
say
about
establishment, like it needs to be, oh, I see what you're saying. So
Yeah.
when they refer to an establishment,
Yeah, so that's why
okay,
he
so we'll keep it
specified
in.
it.
That, I hear what you're saying now. It's silly, but okay. Body piercing, I thought the top part was fine. And then underneath it, though it said, this definition excludes piercings of the earlobe with a pre-sterilized single-use stud and clasp system manufactured exclusively for ear piercing. I didn't understand why that was excluded, that part.
It's because I can't think of the name of it,
Because
the
if
little
it's
shops in the plaza that do the ear piercing.
Yeah.
They're not considered body art establishments.
Oh,
So
okay.
If you don't have that in there, then if there were any in Abington, they'd have to shut down.
What do they fall under?
I think it's just like it's just jewelry. Like, because it's a gun that's only purpose can be used for the ear piercing, I
Yeah.
think that's why it's exempted.
Okay. I saw single use and I was like, oh, I like single use. That's cleanly. Yeah, this was sanitary. So so you're fine with keeping that second part in?
Yep.
Okay. We'll say keep. Page 4, so all throughout the entire thing, they axed code and put in regulation, and I thought that was fine. All in agreement?
Yes.
Okay. The next thing was the department, and he put in means the town of Abington Department of Public Health. Sure. I don't think that's a problem. And then I didn't have, the next red area was page 6, identification. So this part I personally just felt uncomfortable with. It says identification means a valid government-issued ID card with name, photo, and birthplace. For purposes of this regulation, only the following forms of identification will be considered valid. I feel like this should be the shop owner's area of, like, I don't feel like this is something, you know what I mean? I just feel like it's very,
Well, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, but they're mandated to do that, correct?
right.
Within
Yeah.
the shops?
Yeah, you have to, I mean, it's still mandated by us,
Right.
because it's a local thing, but yeah.
So we need to keep it in.
And I think, I mean, when you say, I'm guessing the reason that's in there, a valid government issue ID in and of itself is fine. He's just going further to explain what bylaw is considered, would be my guess, but I believe Aaron has scheduled a meeting with Greg and the town manager. We can ask for some clarification.
Okay, cool.
I hear what you're saying.
Thanks. Bottom of page 6, it said informed consent and release form, and they had put in and or their guardian. I don't think this is applicable because we decided in Abington for everything to be 18 plus.
Correct.
So I think it's a null point. We can keep it in there if we want to keep it in there, but it's not.
I think you left piercing under 18.
We did.
Yeah.
You're right, so it has to be under. That's why guardian's in for piercing.
You're right.
Thank you, Chris. Keep. Regulation swapped. Code again, that's fine. 7, so I had come to Chris earlier and asked about this. So anytime that it's swapped from department to Board of Health, like, I'm not a lawyer, I didn't want it to be us that they answer to for Board of Health. Like, I wanted it to be Health Department, but it sounds like there are political reasons why that may not be appropriate based on town census.
But you're the regulatory authority. The health department's not a regulatory authority, so.
So it has to come to us,
It
and
has
then
to
you
come
would
to you.
act on our behalf
Yep.
as the.
Yeah, we do the regs, they do the enforcement, so.
Okay, so then that's appropriate then to keep it as Board of Health. All right, so I scratched that a bunch of times. We'll just have to keep going past those. Page 8, nothing. Page 9, nothing. 10, nothing. 11. There was a grammatical error under violation that I thought was duplication, just to remove the operation of body art establishment. It just sounded weird to me, so that's nothing to do with anything but grammar. Nothing under license required. I had no problems with the changes there, if none of you did.
No.
It just said Board of Health again, but now I understand why that needs to be so. Page 12. I thought the license required part that followed over to the next page, that was still in red italics, also was badly worded. It says, laws governing the practice of body art and such other terms and conditions the board deems necessary for the public of public health, safety, and welfare. I wanted to change it, I'm like an editor, guys, now. I wanted to change it to laws governing the practice of body art and such other terms and conditions the board deems necessary for the health and safety and welfare of the public, if everyone's cool with that. Do you see what I mean, and do you think that makes sense? It's just it's weirdly worded. I didn't like it. But you can overpower me if you like. Anyone, thoughts? No.
No.
Okay. Nothing else on 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Like, all of these changes I thought were fine. 17. Anyone stop me if you saw something that you didn't like? 18, 19. We'll just keep going until things got dicey at the end. I wrote check with Chris on page 26, number 14, requirements for premises. The green part that's scratched out, As part of the license application process, body art establishments must submit a scale, drawing, and floor plan of the proposed establishment for a plan review by the department. I did see that again in the end. Is that a necessity? I don't remember talking about that when we.
For a new shop, absolutely.
Because you want to make sure there's running water and sinks for hand washing readily
I
available.
literally just did a plan review for a new tattoo shop
Okay.
last week.
So I guess it's fine that they crossed it out there because, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I saw it again later on.
I'd have to double
I
check.
think it got moved. 28. This part I wanted to just touch base on as a team. The Cory checking part, I feel like that should be a shop responsibility. They should be checking who they're hiring, and that shouldn't fall on us again, because I don't feel like I'm a lawyer. I don't want to be in charge of that. I
So,
agree that someone shouldn't be
I think
working
Cory
with the
checks are
team.
done like by the police, so the police need to be paid. Are you just talking about who pays for it, or who
I
does
think
it?
who does it.
I think the police do that. I think it's,
Well, I know like the school pay, I had to get Cory Check to work at the school
Mm-hmm.
system, so like the school was responsible for it, so I don't think we should be responsible for it, I think the shop should be responsible for it. Jason?
I don't know if there's any kind of legal procedures that require us to do that. That would be a question I would probably have for Greg, you know?
I mean, as a community member, like, do I want someone with past criminal offenses that are unknown to me in close contact with?
is there a story also on there?
No. But, we are 18 plus, so it's not as if it would be underage community members. This whole section just made me feel a little bit creepy, so I just wanted to chat about it.
Well, a couple things here, if I can just weigh in.
Please do.
So of the 351 municipalities in Massachusetts, exactly 0 do this, require this. For some reason, when he cut and pasted this, it references allowing the town of Westboro to do the Cory Story check. So as written, Abington would have to contract with the town of Westboro
Right.
to do the Corys for them. I looked at Westboro's body art regs, and they have the model regs from 2001. None of this is in there, so I don't know where this came from. I'm not a lawyer, but I think having the town do the Cory and Story checks puts liability on the town.
Then wouldn't every other shop want us to do their Cory checks for them as well? I feel like,
I can find no rationale for this.
Well, why don't we strike it and ask some questions about it? But again,
Okay.
and this isn't the final, when I asked if this was the final draft, he's still, you know, there's still verbiage in there for, like you said, Westboro.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
And I know, like I said, Aaron has a meeting scheduled, I think, for the end of July to go over
Right.
what
why
exactly
they
is
made the
going on
changes
here.
that they made, yeah. So, we'll say big question mark, potentially scratch that section, and then weigh in after the town comes back.
I agree with that.
Okay. Page 29. This was all the same. This is all falls within that same area, so I think we'll do the same. Yeah. Like number 2. I felt like this whole section going into the Cory check was like, why? Page 30. Oh, here, so it was on page 30 that they went back and put in, is the layout required? So that's good. So it was removed, but now it is back in. I thought I remembered seeing
Oh,
that, and
okay,
I
yeah,
left
you're
a
right.
note for myself for that.
Good.
So this is all kind of the same, a bunch of stuff was scratched there. There was like some duplication about, like they put it so many times that fixed body art establishment licenses must be posted in a prominent and conspicuous area where they can be easily seen. That's in there like 4 times, I think. So we probably don't need it 4 times. I will go back through and I can circle everyone and we can decide where we want it to be, so it's not 4 times.
Now, Chris, you said that the next scheduled meeting for this is when?
I don't think, you guys don't have it on the agenda yet, but I think Aaron just scheduled a meeting with town council.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah, sometime in late July, I think.
When
I
you
don't-
get a chance, will you send me a copy of that and then send me that date?
Yeah,
So we
absolutely.
can follow up on that? Thank you.
All right. See, there it is again on page 32. I wrote already covered. And then it was the pop-up stuff and the regulations for the pop-up, which all seemed fine. There's stuff in there if everyone, all good. And then on page 34, there was a comment they had put in, is this needed about the mobile body art establishments? It can probably be combined with a temporary license if you prefer to keep it. I recommend that all of the procedural requirements be worded the same as in the other sections. I liked sectioning it out and keeping it separate, because that's way you can go to the code or the regulation, not the code, and go to the part that you're looking for. So I
Right.
thought keeping it separate, like, it should stay within the same format as the previous stuff, was my personal opinion.
I agree.
Moving on. 36 and 37, I put okay, nothing there. 38. Oh, I had asked Chris about the fines there for first offense, second offense, and I put that they were too low, but then I think it was because, remember last meeting, we were talking about how we had matched the other fines? Oh, was that for?
That was for tobacco.
That was for tobacco, not moot point, okay. So is everyone happy with those fines being first offense 100, second offense 200? I think they're kind of low. I think if you are doing a permanent art on someone's body or any kind of action like piercings, I want there to be a higher consequence personally.
Have we
'Cause
looked
you're-
into the surrounding communities for?
I think the ones that find are the same. I think the reasoning behind that is anything under 300 is a non-criminal offense. We do just issue a ticket, and that's per day, so if they're
So
doing
fourth
something wrong,
offense, it would be a criminal offense.
yeah,
Yeah, so it's a
Okay.
non-criminal
Yeah.
disposition citation.
yeah, it's just easier for us.
Okay. Again, I'm
Also,
not
I
a
mean,
lawyer.
if they're out of compliance with something in the shop, it would go every day, so it'd be 100, 200, 300, and then 300 every day.
Per
So,
offense.
Yeah, so it would end up, could be thousands of dollars, but one
Okay.
at a time, I guess.
I do
That's the
believe
thought
legally on the
process.
MGL, there is a certain criteria for a max on that, and I believe that's why it's set up like that.
Okay. That's all I had, and then we're done. If no one else has anything to add, then we can move on to our next agenda item. But at least that way we kind of cleaned it up a little bit and we know the areas where we really need to delve a little deeper after Aaron has his meeting. Yeah,
Yep.
cool. All right.
If you wanna send me a copy of yours with notes, I will update the red line with highlights.
I hope you can read my chicken scratch.
This
Yes.
can't be worse than mine.
Fair. All right, moving on to discussion action item number 2, discussion regarding animal regulations. I feel like after going through the body art regulations, this feels like a lot right now at this hour of the day. Did anyone have any thoughts right off the bat about it? I mean, my biggest things were all pertaining to the public comment from last meeting and kind of how that came into play. Did I just shuffle these together? Oh no, this is it. Oh, it's double-sided, that's why. And I just wanted to review what we considered the max number of chickens. Did we decide on 6? Because I wish Amanda Petty was back for this again, because she had really good background.
Yeah, because there is a leftover space there that needs to be filled in for that.
Right.
Other than that, I mean, again, I did the research on this, and it's pretty straightforward and
I
fair on
agree.
both sides, and
I agree.
it's realistic, and
And
Can the public ask me questions?
when we get to public comment, yes, thank you so
You
much.
don't have public comment on the.
But we can add it in, right? Where it normally
I
goes?
told you I was coming, so you should have been prepared.
I don't write the agenda, that's,
Okay.
Can we put it in after the board
I mean,
decides?
I don't-
What's your preference?
I think you're okay.
I think yes. I would rather talk about it while we're talking about it rather than close and then come back to it. Do you mind coming up to the microphone, please? And actually, can you take our absentees one and spin it around?
There you go.
Thank you. And then I'll need your full name and address, por favor.
Donna Gendro, 63 Pearl Street.
Wait. 53?
63.
63, sorry. I've got to put it in for the meeting minutes. Pearl Street. Ready. Thank you.
I just have some questions. I looked up your code 360, Abington's code 360 for like livestock, and there was nothing in there for chickens regarding the amount of chickens people can have. I'm sure you're all aware that there's an uptick in the number of rats in our community. And I've already spoke to Chris a couple times at this point, and as well as other people, the town manager, a couple of selectmen. And I've lived in my home for 30 years. Will be 30 years next June, I don't want to lie. And I've never seen a rat in my neighborhood, around my house, anywhere. I have got rats running through my yard like they think they're squirrels. And I've got chickens that live across the street on Route 58
I've seen them.
that are just, they're free-range chickens. They're just out and about, they're just everywhere. And I don't know if anybody's keeping track of how they're being maintained, what their chicken coops would look like, how many chickens there even are. And they're not the only ones. Like, there are people in town that have upwards of 30 chickens in their backyard that I've spoken to. Nobody's keeping track of whether or not these coops are clean. And an unkept anything is going to attract rodents. If you have bird feeders and you're not cleaning up the bird feed, you're gonna have rodents. So if you have chickens with their feces and their eggs
Feed.
and their feed, the rats are very interested in that.
Right.
So I just feel that as a community, we should be more proactive in making sure that we get rid of the rat problem instead of trying to now control it after it's way out of control. And I'm not sure what the solution to that is at this point, but we should definitely be looking into some kind of regulation where if you have chickens, somebody comes by and inspects it and makes sure that you have a certain number, make sure that it's actually clean. And I understand that this was put on the books to be addressed a while ago, and then it kind of fell apart. I spoke
We
to
put it on
Amanda.
the back burner
Yeah.
when we went and were heavy, knee-deep in the tobacco regulations, but I'm glad to see it back on the table.
I am as well. What were you gonna say, Sue?
It's okay.
Okay. But you had a thought.
I did, but actually Katie kind of addressed it.
Okay, all right. Yeah, and I know right now we're talking about the chickens, but I do have questions about what your plan is for the rats. Is that next up on the agenda, or should I just talk about that while I'm here?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
I
So
think the two go hand in
they
hand.
do go hand in hand. I agree. They do go hand in hand. And in the construction as well. Like, I don't blame all chickens on the problem. But it's, like I said, I never saw rats before. And then when I started, like, didn't want to say anything because it's embarrassing. I'm thinking people are going to think I have rats.
No.
So I didn't say anything, and then I was like, all right, this is getting out of control. I started asking people, like, do you have rats in your neighborhood? Everybody I asked, with the exception of one person at work, was like, no, what are you talking about? People are telling me they have rats. There are rats inside the high school.
Yeah.
I was at a meeting, and I asked somebody that works there, I'm like, do you have rats in your neighborhood? Because she also lived in town. She goes, no, but we have them. She said her dog killed two, and she goes, but we have them here in the school. I'm like, inside the school? And she said, yes.
Jeez.
And at the end of the year, we had an ice cream social. I was up at the high school for the ice cream social, and there are rat things all around the outside of the building. So they're inside the school where our students are. They're running through the streets in our neighborhoods. There needs to be something done. And I understand that there was a program, and it was not made public very clearly. I understand it was on the Facebook page you guys run. I didn't follow that page. That there was cages with birth control in them.
Contrapest. That was gonna be my next thought process
Okay.
as well. Chris had heavily pushed it the year ago or the year before and had tried to do some education. I'm sorry it didn't reach you at that point in time.
It did not reach
but-
me, but I think it's a program that, that we need to get back in touch with whatever funding we need to do as a town and
It's
get that
completely
back.
ineffective.
Oh, really? Is that
One of
new
the- yeah.
studies are showing?
So,
No!
so birth control for rodents only works as part of an integrated pest management approach, which includes trapping and poisoning.
I'm
The whole
poisoning
i-
at my house.
The
just-
whole idea of the contraception is to reduce the population to a level where extermination is effective. So it has to be used in conjunction with other things. So it's not, on its own, I mean, we were hoping for a magic bullet, that was kind of the thought,
Right.
but, because it doesn't, the way it works, so, when a person is on birth control, you don't produce offspring. With the contrapest, it reduces the size of a litter from, I'm just guessing numbers here, from 12 pups to 3 or 4, and they have to stay on it constantly. Rats
Which is
are
hard.
very, very smart creatures,
Yeah.
and they will avoid the stations and stuff, so, some municipalities have had success using it in conjunction with other things, but on its own, it's just completely ineffective, which is,
That's a bummer. I loved that it wasn't poison, and
Yeah.
that way no other wildlife was getting
Right.
injured.
Which does worry me and make me feel sad,
Yeah.
but at the same time,
You
I
wanna
can't
protect
have
your home
rats
and not
getting
have
inside my house.
droppings.
So far,
Yeah.
so good, they're not. And now, you're right, I've got the bait stations all around my yard, and the back fence, along the back of my house, and I don't see them in my yard now. I did find a dead one, I have a picture if you'd like to see, yesterday on my lawn. But now they are starting to avoid me, but that's not gonna solve the town's problem. Like, my neighbor lives one street over from me, she got a thing in the mail last week talking about how to keep your yard clean or whatever to prevent rats. I've not received anything. It needs to be a town-wide mailing, it needs to go out to every citizen. I didn't even know we had a problem. And I know I've already said this to you, I'm just reiterating, so it's on record that
yeah.
something needs to be done. And I feel it is a health issue. They carry diseases. Somebody else at work was like, oh, no, they're very clean. No, they're not very clean. They're rodents, they're rats, they're dirty. And as a town, I just want to know, like, what's the plan going forward? If the birth control is ineffective, what's the plan as a health board? What do you want to do? What are you going to do?
We have had success in the past. We've had different areas of town in the past that have had infestations. And we have used pest control officers. And I think, and then there have been a lot of other things. I'm in food service, so there's a lot of things that in restaurants you do, like you don't put your rubbish out fresh, you have it frozen or something, so the rats don't have that smell or that attraction to your property, because you really can only protect your property, and you're doing everything right. So you should be grateful, I mean, I'm grateful that you're taking care of yourself. But it is true, there is a town, but there are solutions. It's not always one that everybody likes, but there are solutions, and we were able to control things. We used to have mattresses being on the side of the road in certain parts of the town, and they would make a nice home in there, and then they would just explode. And a dumpster that was overlooked time and time again, it's the same thing. So I think that there's hope.
So
for a
when
solution.
there's construction being done, because I don't know if this is part of the problem,
I was
Pearl
gonna
Street
mention that
backs
as
up
well.
to the cemetery. So I don't know with the new construction for the new DPW and the fire station, if they were disrupted, now they've just all come toward my
Oh,
house, I don't
For
know.
sure, I'd
Oh,
say
that's a
maybe
possibility.
building.
Maybe at construction sites,
displacement.
maybe
Then that would be
as the construction
temporary.
starts, maybe like put poison, I hate to say it again, but maybe put poison out at the construction site so that when they come out, they immediately eat it and I don't know. I don't know what the plan is, but that couldn't hurt, like if they're all gonna be displaced. I know there's a place in nature for rats. I don't want people to like now blast me all over Facebook that I like hate animals.
No.
Everything has a purpose in life, and I understand that, and, you know, I don't mind them living in the woods, I don't mind them doing what they do, have your babies, have your families, but I don't want you having your families and your babies on my property. So, and sadly, now I am putting out poison, that makes me sad to think about, you know, owls and hawks and everything else that may encounter that, but
Right.
something needs to happen, and I just wanted to know what your plan
Yeah.
is.
Well, thank you for coming to the table.
All right.
Thank you for, voicing your concerns
Okay.
and making us aware.
Okay?
I think it will definitely be food for us all to think about. Thank you.
And I'm probably gonna keep coming back, Katie.
Okay, all right,
Just
it's
'cause-
allowed.
Yeah, all right.
I
Love
like
to
having
see you.
people in the audience. Yes, it makes it less scary.
All right,
Thank you very much.
If you didn't get the flyer in the mail, when you're leaving, if you go out by the health department, we have copies outside the
All right,
office.
see.
Okay. Seems like more and more of the community members are coming in with a similar concern. It's so tricky because I think the building is such a problem with displacement. They are a native creature, and so it's gonna be very hard, but worth doing some research on, and I'm happy to do some research. Okay, so I will add in public comment under the animal regulations. I would like more time, I think.
For the animal regulations?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think with, is that okay? I think
think
with
that
Aaron
is.
and Carol also both not being here, I'd like us to be a full team to kind of delve in deep. I spent so much time marking up these ones that I didn't have as much time as I would have liked to do like a thorough perusal of these.
Yeah.
I would like to come back and have like red marks these up as well, so that we can talk about them.
Yeah, but I didn't realize it, because I think I got 2 animals and no, well, that one, so.
Okay, yeah. I mean, because like immediately I knew I wanted to review like how many was it that we said you didn't have to identify for, and then what are we considering we would like property or animal owners to announce for like spread of bird flu and all that kind of stuff, so. Is everyone okay with
Yeah, I think we should-
continuing to look at them, spending some more time on it?
I don't think it should be something that should be
Rushed.
put to the side again. I think
No,
it's something that we
definitely
need to do
not.
now,
I'm
because I
not-
think it would certainly
Yes, no.
help with what's going on here.
I think the-
It won't be the cure, but we need to start
No.
moving in a positive direction, and this would certainly be one of them.
Yeah, no, I
You know?
wasn't advising that we put it on the
No.
back burner. No, I think it needs to stay on the agenda and continue to be on the agenda.
Yeah.
But I'd like to personally do more
Yeah, have the
research.
full team here and
Yeah.
get a vote going.
You know, you brought up an excellent point, and I remembered when we were going through this a lot, Amanda was on the board then, and now she's on the Board of Selectmen, and that was another one of the reasons that it got.
Stepping down next week.
Oh, that's too bad, but, I was gonna say, maybe we could, call upon her for her input as a chicken owner, and if she would be so kind as to,
I love that idea.
Yeah.
Continue to review, because
Thanks.
I don't have chickens
Well,
personally, and I
just
think
because
having,
I think you're right too, we gotta get it done.
Well, I mean, you have one, and again, it's almost word for word with other communities here. The only thing that's missing, as it's been said a few times on permit application requirements, is the keeping of less than a certain amount of chickens shall require a permit.
So
And I
that,
Right.
think that's what hangs us up right now, that we should really make some phone calls and do some searching and figure out what that number is.
well, we had decided 6, that anything
Yeah.
under 6 was you didn't have to register, and
Mm-hmm.
anything over that amount you would.
But that's specific to chickens,
Yes.
okay?
Because I feel like chickens are the ground feeders, like a lot of the other animals are not. So it feels like when the town comes forward and is, voicing concerns about abutters, it's mostly the chickens.
Right,
Do you agree?
like
I
we
do
have,
agree.
Sorry.
I'll tell you something after, but not a
Okay. Okay.
but, this speaks about feed management plans
Mm-hmm.
and manure storage of feed, pest management, all these things that would certainly keep an eye on.
Do we want to start? I feel like do you want to start?
No, it's okay, I'd rather just do it as a whole, where it's
Yeah.
not going to,
Yeah.
something we may be able
Yeah.
to push forward,
Yeah. Agreed.
But, so I've certainly gone through and highlighted again, and I've done all the research, and it is pretty straightforward, makes common sense.
Right.
We're
Okay.
missing the number of, there's just a blank space
Mm-hmm.
for the chickens.
Yeah.
So we'd have to go through here, make sure we're not missing anything else, but personally, my opinion is the draft looks pretty good.
Right.
Just a couple of things here
So
and
we
there.
would just put them in place. We
Yeah.
would just recommend to put them all in place. I would like to read through them one more time, please.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just make sure, because like, my immediate thoughts about it are, so like, Chris would be our enforcer, and like, so depending on how many chickens we say, it's really gonna, like, does he have the time, the effort, the energy, and the funding to go out for anyone who has more than 6 chickens? Like, how many people in Abington have more than that amount?
There's
Like,
actually a fee associated with it, and it's an annual permit.
so
and
you
it-
go out once a year,
And so it
then-
expires on the 31st of December, and the onus is on the property owner to keep track of that and to report it to us.
Mm-hmm.
Right, to ensure that there's a feed management plan, there's feces management, there's storage of feed, all these things.
Right.
Supplying a plot plan for the area where the animal's gonna be kept. And like, say, for instance, you wanna construct a pen, or you have an accessory structure. Not also, you also need, a permit from the building department if it's over, a certain amount of square feet. But it also has to be approved by us. So if you're very close to an abutter, we
Mm-hmm. That
have.
could be a deal breaker.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, and I like all the things that we had talked about before, but
Yeah,
I
it's
feel
just-
like
it's-
we didn't have a lot of public comment before, and now there is a lot more public comment, so I wanna go over it again.
I got two,
So
so-
I feel really
Yeah,
good about it.
absolutely.
Okay, good. So, tabling but not putting on the back burner. to the next meeting, and we will keep it on there, and I'll come back, so I'll let Aaron and Carol know, that it will definitely be there, so they make sure that they have time to really look at it strongly
Yeah,
again, and that way
perfect.
we're making big decisions and really pushing through next time. Okay, moving on to number 3, the vote to approve minutes from June 2nd.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second?
Thank you. So that'll be 3, 2, 0. And then Chris, you're up for the health agent report, please.
So inspections, we had an inspection on the 10th, mobile gas station. 6/11 was a housing inspection, that was complaint-based, and that did result in a correction order, and involvement of the building and fire department. And 6/12, public nuisance complaint inspection, which came out of last Board of Health meeting. No priority violations issued. Complaints, so we've gotten a number of complaints about rats, because it's spring. We've sent out targeted mailings to the Ekstrom Circle, Pearl Street, Russell Lane, and Jefferson Street neighborhoods. On the 8th, and continuing again today, got several complaints from residents on King Street of odors from grass clippings at Brito Landscaping. So they have a business license, they're allowed to be there. There's a landscaping company at Route 18 Superstore. We ran into this last summer, they've been temporarily storing grass clippings. It gets wet, it gets hot.
It's stinky.
It was pretty stinky. I ordered them to get it out. They said it was gonna be gone by the weekend. It's not. I gave them till first thing tomorrow morning, and we'll start assessing fines. It's public nuisance at that point, the smell, so.
Yep.
They assured me that they were removing it this afternoon.
And that's Brito?
Brito, yep. 6/9, got a complaint on Jefferson Street about rats, and that actually resulted in a correction order for 187 Adams, which is the apartment building behind there. They have an overflowing dumpster and trash,
Trash-related.
and it looked like a golf course with the rat holes, so that's where they're coming from. So we served them with a correction order. And 6/13, we got a complaint of overgrown yard. So I mainly put this on here, number 1, to report any complaints we get in the office. Number 2, to just bring this up. It's hard for me to say this without sounding flip. The health department and the Board of Health is not concerned with the appearance of your neighbor's lawns. If it's unsightly, we live in America, you have a right to your own property, you can run your house the way you want. There is a point, however, where overgrown yards can become a public health nuisance. It's a harborage for vermin, and it is in the Massachusetts housing code. So people make complaints, no matter what the complaint is, we will go out and look at it. If it's just overgrown and messy, I'm not gonna take action on that. If it's overgrown to the point where it's harborage for vermin, there's dead bushes or furniture and textiles in the yard, then we send a correction order. If they don't clean it up, they get fined. We follow the regular process, so.
Big difference between no mow for the bees and, vermin
So
collection.
I encourage anybody to call with a concern, just understand that it's not always actionable. A lot of cars in the yard, you can call the zoning and check with them, but, we were concerned with public health nuisances, so. And then no training or conferences attended in the last 2 weeks, so that's all I have for a report.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Any correspondence?
I sent in correspondence to the health department to talk about the testing that gets done at Island Grove. I notice it's not on the agenda or anything, but I did send it in, so I
Oh.
thought I'd ask about it. I know it probably hasn't started yet.
It
but-
actually has.
Okay, because I like, last year we had this problem too, and I wanted it discussed, and I had to fight for that, so I'd like to fight for that again, so
Yep.
that everybody can know about that testing.
I like it.
Thanks.
So we are required by Massachusetts general law, where we have a bathing beach in Abington, to test the water. I think the requirement is at least once monthly, but we check every week. I take a sample first thing Monday morning. That goes to J&L Labs in Quincy. We usually get our results back next day. I think the threshold for E. coli is 320. I tested the water last week before any treatment was done, and it was at 860 something. I
Thank
went
you
down.
for testing.
And I explained to Kelly, like, I knew the water hadn't been treated, but I wanted to get a baseline for what we're looking at in that body of water when it's not being treated. I took a sample this morning, they've already chlorinated, the docks are out, and the opening is this Saturday. We should have the results back tomorrow. I have requested that our lab report directly to DPH, so if you go on DPH's bathing beach portal, the results will be published
We'll see it
weekly.
there, yeah.
In fact, I forgot when I sent the pre-treatment sample, so we got a notice right away telling us to close the beach, and it was closed already because it
Yeah.
wasn't open. And one of the other reasons I do that is I know the DPW closes that beach end of July. The summer's hot, they drain it, but in between it being closed and being drained, people like to go in the water, even when there's no lifeguards and it's closed. I cannot stress enough, if you put your kids in that water, you might as well put them in your toilet. Because when it's not being treated, it is dangerously high levels of E. coli in there. It is a toilet. This morning I went down and there were 2 people walking their dogs in the water, even though there's a sign right there saying dogs are not allowed in that part of the park. Please, when it's closed for the season, do not go in the water.
I'm hoping we can get those reports throughout the summer, because,
Yeah,
think
we
it's
generally don't
important.
report, but it's on the DPH website, so that's.
okay,
that's,
so we can get it.
Is that posted too, Chris, the conditions when it's closed down for the season?
Yeah, and actually, I talked to Kelly today about some additional signage that, because the state recently updated those regulations. So there'll be new signs put up that say what the season is, and then we will have a posted no swimming, dangerous
Yeah, that's
conditions after it's closed. So that people hopefully will choose wisely.
Right, at your own risk.
Thank you for that, Chris.
That being the end of our agenda, I will take a
I have
motion.
one other correspondence
Oh,
item.
sorry, we're not done.
And I think I sent this to you guys, so I got a call at the health department from a concerned resident about, what did we decide it was, is kratom?
Kratom?
Oh,
Kratom,
Kratom.
kratom, yeah,
I forgot
we
about
Googled
that,
how to
yes.
pronounce it. So kratom is an herb, it's a tropical tree, native to Southeast Asia. People can purchase it in powder or pill form. It's legal currently, sold in gas stations and smoke shops. In small amounts, it's supposed to be a mild stimulant, but taken in large amounts, it can cause hallucinations, delusion, confusion, psychotic symptoms. A number of towns in Massachusetts have banned it outright, and I believe there is a bill pending at the state level to ban, if not ban it, to at least set it at 21 plus. So this person had called because a relative of theirs had some bad reaction to it. So they wanted to know if the board would consider banning it or restricting it. It is in your purview. I want to say I was able to find 5 different towns that have banned it or restricted it to over 21. So just something to think about.
How far along is the state with the overall ban?
It's stuck in committee.
Is it?
Yeah, it's, the bill's gone through several times and not gone anywhere. I believe the current iteration that's going through is to ban it outright.
All right.
And that went to committee in late May, so.
So right now it's 18 plus. Our move would be to make it 21 plus.
You could make it 21 plus, you could
We
ban
would
it.
ban it completely.
21 plus at a minimum
Yeah.
or ban?
Because currently, apparently you can buy it in gas stations. I know of at least 2 shops in Abington that are selling it. One's 21 plus store, the other one's just a convenience store.
Okay.
Can I ask how to spell that?
KROTUM.
KRA?
KRATO.
KRA, sorry.
Thank you.
The FDA or the DEA have ruled it a drug of concern, or a substance of concern, I should say, but there's currently no, right, I wouldn't expect anything to come out of the DEA as far as additional regulations anytime soon, but so it's currently legal unless you guys decide
Yeah,
otherwise.
they're more of a reactionary force anyways, you know?
Yeah,
Maybe we do a little bit of research, we keep it on the agenda for next
Keep it on the agenda for
meeting,
next week,
And then maybe.
take a look at it, and then we could look around and see what else.
We could do discussion and possible vote to make 21 plus.
Yeah, I might recommend doing a public hearing if you're gonna decide to take any action, just because you have businesses in town that sell it, they probably wanna weigh in.
Yep, good idea, thank you.
Not required, but, it's good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're gonna ban it, you know?
Yeah.
You're gonna wanna let them have their say, but
Right.
a restriction to an age, you just do it anyways. Let the folks speak, you know?
Do we want to send out an invitation to them for our next meeting, which I think is in, are we dropping down to one a month now?
Probably, you usually do one a month.
Yep. So that will give them plenty of notice to come if they wanted to speak.
It also gives us plenty of time too to look into it and give the state a call and
The
figure
21st.
out where their head's at.
Would you mind?
No, I don't mind. Yeah, if you guys wanna, if you plan on putting it on the agenda, I can send something out to,
Cool.
and I'll check and see, I'm assuming I'll check and see who's selling it, because it might be outside of our tobacco retailers too, although most of our convenience stores sell tobacco. So. I'll look into it.
Okay. With no more correspondence, I would take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
A second.
Thanks. Oh, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I didn't do that for the other one.
Yep, that's all right.
Okay. We are all in favor. Okay.
In spirit, you did it.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay.
We
Oh, we're done.
Yep, meeting adjourned.